The Dark Knight Trilogy. People call it the peak of comic book filmmaking, the series that inspired so many other comic book movies that came after it. And somehow I've never watched it beginning to end.
God, have you been living under a rock?
I've only seen scattered scenes and none of Batman Begins. So today I'm watching the full trilogy for the first time. I want to know why this trilogy is considered the greatest. And I also want to understand who Batman really is. Because I like Batman, but I can't tell you much about him that everyone else doesn't already know. So with those goals in mind, I hit play on Batman Begins. Going into this movie, I honestly had no idea what to expect. I'd barely heard anyone talk about Batman Begins, so I assumed it was the standard origin story that every hero gets. But instead, this movie really surprised me. Not just because it was good, but because it completely changed the way I saw Bruce Wayne. Most Batman stories I've seen focused on the persona, the suit, the gadgets, the symbol. But this movie did something I'd never really seen before. It slowed down and showed me the man underneath. What surprised me was how much time we spend with Bruce. Not as a hero, and not even as the billionaire, but as a broken person trying to live with something he'll never fully get over. This movie opens with Bruce at his lowest point. He's lost, disconnected, and eaten alive by the guilt he can't escape. Before this film, I always saw Bruce and Batman as two separate characters. Batman felt like the actual character, and Bruce felt like the daytime disguise. But here, for the first time, they felt like the same person to me. Batman isn't an act he puts on, he's just Bruce pushing his pain into something bigger. There's this moment early on where Bruce plans to kill the man who murdered his parents. And that scene had me locked in. Because I know Batman doesn't kill, everyone knows that. So watching Bruce stand there with all the pain in his eyes ready to cross that line, it was tense. I was sitting there wondering, is he really about to do it? After that, Bruce leaves Gotham and I wasn't sure where the story was going. But in hindsight, I think this is the part that changed my perception the most. He doesn't leave to just train, he leaves to understand. Bruce grew up rich, protected, and insulated from the kind of fear everyday people live with. He can't fight for people he doesn't understand. So he throws away the old version of himself, literally burns it, and becomes someone who chooses to see the world through the eyes of the fearful. And that's what makes his transformation feel so believable. The League of Shadows teaches him how to control fear, how to use it, and how to turn it into something sharp. But the real turning point is the moment Bruce refuses to execute a criminal. And I think that's when Batman is actually born. It's not in the Batcave or with the suits and the gadgets. Batman is born the moment Bruce decides his pain will not define the morality of his actions. That choice becomes the foundation of everything he is. What I love about Batman Begins is how every part of the story reflects Batman's relationship with fear. Ra's al Ghul felt like he represents who Batman could have become if he let fear turn into hatred. Scarecrow represents what fear looks like when it's used to control and destroy. But Bruce, he learns to use fear to protect. And when he says people need dramatic examples to shake them out of apathy, that line stuck with me. Because that's exactly what this Batman becomes. Not a hero, not a savior, but a symbol big enough to wake Gotham up. This movie also made me appreciate characters I never cared about before. This is the best Alfred I've ever seen. He doesn't feel like just the butler. He feels like someone who deeply cares about Bruce. Someone who never gave up on him, even when Bruce wanted to give up on himself. Maybe every version of Alfred is like that, and I'm just late to a party. But I think it hits harder here because of how low Bruce starts. James Gordon was also another standout for me. In a city full with rotten people, he feels like he's the only one that cares. That little moment where he puts the coat around young Bruce after his parents died, that hit me in a way I didn't expect. So by the time the movie ended, I realized something. I went in wanting to understand Batman, but I walked out with a new appreciation for Bruce, and for the people he builds himself around. Bruce isn't fully healed, but he's no longer running from his past. He goes from someone trying to destroy what shaped him, to someone trying to rebuild it. He goes from a man who wanted revenge, to a man who finally seeks justice. So after all of that, I was left with one thought. If the quote-unquote least talked about movie of the trilogy is already this good, how insane must The Dark Knight be? And there's only one way to find out. It was finally time to watch The Dark Knight. I went into this one with real excitement. Batman Begins surprised me, but this is the one that everyone talks about. The greatest comic book movie, a masterpiece, a generational film. So going in, my expectations were high, and usually when that happens, I end up disappointed. But not this time. It didn't take long to realize this movie was built different. The moment Batman dives off that ledge and crushes the car beneath him, I knew this movie was going to be good. Batman Begins showed me who Bruce Wayne was, but The Dark Knight shows me what he's willing to become. From the very first scene I was hooked. The bank heist is already entertaining, but what impressed me was the writing. Even the throwaway robbers have personality and purpose, each one taking out the last until the Joker remains. I thought that was the perfect introduction. Not a thug with a plan, but a force who uses plans to create something worse. Escalation. Every scene he's in feels unstable, and what sold me wasn't just how dangerous he was, but how specific he was. The way he keeps changing the story of how he got his scars. I don't think he's trying to confuse you, but rather he's erasing your ability to understand him at all. If you can't label him, you can't predict him, and if you can't predict him, he wins. And standing opposite of him is Harvey Dent, Gotham's White Knight. Harvey is everything Batman can't be in the daytime. Public, legal, and hopeful. He's proof Gotham can still believe in the system. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. It's a line that hits harder on rewatch, but hearing it for the first time, even I could feel the impact of it. Harvey believes goodness is clean, that justice comes without cost, and the Joker exposes how fragile that belief really is. The interrogation scene might be one of my favorite scenes in this movie. It's all about two philosophies colliding, order versus chaos, limits versus indulgence. Joker says, tonight you're going to break your one rule, and the crazy part is he almost does. Every character in this movie is pushed toward a line. Gordon, Harvey, the Batman. But the ferry sequence is the moment that ties the whole film together. Two boats, two detonators, a quote-unquote fair choice that's actually cruelty disguised as morality. It's an impossible test for Gotham, a test of what people become when fear replaces order. But nobody falls for it. The prisoners refuse to kill, the civilians refuse to kill, and the Batman refuses to kill. And just like that, Gotham proves the Joker wrong. However, Joker's plan isn't over yet. Harvey falls, the symbol collapses, and the hope the city believed in becomes the Joker's final punchline. If the truth got out, everything the city rebuilt would crumble overnight. So Bruce takes the blame. He chooses to become the villain so Harvey can stay the hero in people's minds. It's the perfect inversion of Batman Begins. Bruce becomes Batman to inspire Gotham. Now he stays Batman to protect their belief, even if they hate him for it. Gordon mentions nothing less than a night at the end of the movie. That line reframes the entire title for me. At first I thought it was just Batman's nickname, the Dark Knight, but now it means something different to me. Harvey was the White Knight. Bruce becomes the Dark One, the one who takes the fall, absorbs the blame, and keeps the city stable. And that's what makes this movie bigger than any other superhero movie for me. This movie wasn't just about good defeating evil. It was about what good is willing to lose. And that sacrifice makes Batman mean more than he ever did. So by the time the credits rolled, I finally understood. Not just why people love The Dark Knight, but why they talk about it the way they do. This wasn't just one of the best comic book movies I've ever seen. It was one of the better movies I've seen, period. And when a film hits on that level, it creates a new question. How do you possibly follow something like that up? How do you end a trilogy that's been this good? Because if The Dark Knight was the peak, then what does a finale even look like? I needed to see how the story ends, so I jumped straight into The Dark Knight Rises. Going into this one, I was nervous. I mean, how do you follow up The Dark Knight? How do you end a trilogy that's been almost perfect so far? Well, somehow, in its own way, The Dark Knight Rises pulls it off for me. 8 years have passed. Crime is down. The Dent Act is working. Gotham feels stable for the first time, but Bruce Wayne isn't. He's become a myth with a limp, a man who gave everything and has nothing left. And without Rachel, without any hope for another life, he slips right back into the broken man we met in Begins. And then Bane arrives, and everything shifts. What I liked about Bane is that he's not chaos the way Joker is. Joker tries to break your morals, but Bane tries to break your systems, its hope, and its sense of order. He's honestly order twisted into anarchy, a revolutionary with the discipline of a soldier. And that's what drags Bruce out of retirement. But the problem hits fast. Bruce isn't the same Batman anymore. He puts the suit back on, but the man who once gave that symbol power isn't there anymore. It felt like he was fighting because he was empty, and Bane sees through him instantly. So when Bane breaks Batman, it was more than just physical. I felt like it was symbolic. He needed this beating because he didn't come back as Batman for a true purpose. He came back because he was running away from pain, and that's why the pit matters so much. It wasn't just a prison, it was a reflection of the emotional hole Bruce has been carrying for 8 years. He climbs with the rope because he still thinks like Batman, a symbol that isn't supposed to die. But the truth is the opposite. He only rises when he accepts the one thing he's avoided since the night he became Batman. He can die. He can fail. He's human. And that fear, the fear he tried to bury, becomes the thing that saves him. And that's the whole point. Batman wasn't born from strength. He rises from limits, from fear and from vulnerability. Meanwhile, Gotham is collapsing. Bane tears down the system that kept the city together, then weaponizes hope, giving people just enough of it to make their defeat hurt even more. And I think that's the moment this film finally clicked for me. Rises felt like a true sequel to Batman Begins. The League of Shadows returns, Gotham's corruption returns, the consequences of Batman's origins come full circle. This is the storm Ra's al Ghul promised, and the characters this time matter more than ever. Alfred leaving Bruce actually broke me. It made sense why he was leaving. He refused to watch Bruce destroy himself. He was the last piece of Bruce's childhood, so Bruce choosing Batman over him hurts because you understand why he does it, and why Alfred can't stay. Catwoman was a good addition to the movie as well. She starts cynical and self-serving, convinced the world is too far gone. But when Gotham collapses, she's the first to admit she was wrong, and Bruce gives her something she's never had, a reason to believe in anything at all. But the heart of the movie was Blake. He understands Bruce because they both felt the same way, angry, lonely, and trying to hide it. And at the end, he's the one who carries the torch, because he believes in what Batman stands for. Then there was the twist with Tyla. That stab genuinely caught me off guard. She's the final consequence from Bruce's past, the last ghost from Begins, returning to finish what the League started. And when Bruce flies the bomb out to sea, it hits because of the small things. No one will ever know the real person who saved the city. That Gordon's coat meant more to Bruce than any thank you. That this was a man giving everything one last time. But the beauty of the ending is this. He saves Gotham as Batman, and finally gets to live as Bruce. That cafe scene with Alfred, that genuinely got me. It was just a glance, a smile, a burden lifted, and a life finally lived. So after watching all 3 movies, I started this wanting to understand Batman, but I walked away understanding Bruce Wayne. This trilogy didn't just show me a hero, it showed me a man learning how to live again. And yes, I absolutely get the hype. This is one of the only superhero stories that made me shed a tear. Thanks for watching, and if you want to see my reaction to another franchise, you already know what to click next.